Public Access Coordinator for NORCAM here, North Reading's Public Access Station. And I'm here today for a special about puppies, pretty much dogs, kittens, pretty much dogs and kittens, right, I would say?
Well, we don't do cat adoptions.
Oh, all right then. Well then, not being a cat person, and please send your letters to NorCamPhil at NorCam. I'm happy to talk about this beautiful organization that's right here in town. It's a nonprofit arm of one of your favorite places to go, Bark and Roll. We have Francine Coughlin with us to talk about Rock and Rescue. So, Francine, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And yeah, thank you for all you and your organization are doing. Please, go about what is Rock and Rescue? What's it all about?
So we founded Rock and Rescue, I think it was 2.5 years ago. And we, obviously at Bark and Roll, we do training and daycare, walks, and pretty much all your canine care needs except for grooming. So we had been doing a lot of rehab of rescue dogs and working with rescue dogs over the course of the years. And I was working with other shelters and local organizations, fostering for them and then training. And what I was noticing was we didn't, it was hard for us to have the control about like where the dog would go and continuing the training that we started. So I thought to myself, why aren't we doing this ourselves? And everyone said, including my ex-accountant, that it would be very difficult to start a 501c3 nonprofit and all the hoops you have to jump through to get a rescue organization started. But I had a really strong team of volunteers. We're all volunteers on our board of directors, and we also have volunteers and fosters that are part of our organization. But our core group got together and we figured out how to apply properly and how to do all the things. And it was not as it didn't take as long to get approved from the government as we thought. And there we were, up and running pretty quickly within a couple months.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
It can be done. And I think people should be inspired to go after doing it and don't let people stand in your way. Or, if you want to do a nonprofit, I mean, it's hard work, but it can be done. But anyway, so we started that, and we started to look for rescue partners. And we started talking to some of our local rescuers, other rescue organizations, and they had sent us in the direction of some reputable rescue partners. So we ended up hooking up with a rescue partner in North Carolina called It Takes a Village. It's run by two wonderful women, Lori and Melissa, and they have a giant network of fosters, and they pull from mostly the kill shelters there.
I see.
So
in that area, or just a large, like, what is their radius, or do they have?
I actually don't know their exact radius in North Carolina, but I do know they're in Fayetteville, yes. So I don't know too much. I know they work with this shelter called Cumberland, and you can actually follow them on Facebook and see these dogs that might be on a stray hold and then will be euthanized if no one shows interest. So we do have a partnership directly with Cumberland as well, and can pull. So if people who are watching this end up, wanting to even pick a dog, like if we don't have exactly what they're looking for, this is always a resource to look at. It Takes a Village, or Obra, which is our rescue partner in Puerto Rico, or Cumberland, and look at them and say, they have a dog that I might be interested in, and we can actually get them transported up to Massachusetts for them. Obra is our partner in Puerto Rico, run by the amazing Giselle Colon. She is a full-time attorney, but somehow finds time to do rescue work. So that's
amazing.
It is amazing, and we actually, she was up here visiting during Hurricane Maria. And it was so odd how we were brought together, but she was visiting. She had a child in university in Boston, and she was like, I'm here. And I said, I'd love to meet you, know who I'm working with. And she just happened to be in Boston, and the hurricane was going on at that time. It was really distressing, obviously. She was very, very scared, and as you can see, it ended up being catastrophic for the island. When she went back, of course, there was still a big need. A lot of the dogs that had been strays, I think there's, I don't want to be misquoted I don't want to misquote the numbers, but there's something like, I want to say 100,000 strays or something, something insane.
Well, I mean, it was devastated for 11 months without power, so regardless.
So many of the strays, that were living in the streets got didn't survive the hurricane, but still there were many that did. And actually we had several come up that survived the hurricane on the street. I don't even know how.
Oh, wow,
We also were helping to people who didn't have homes and could no longer care for their dog. We took in some of those guys too, so that, you know, Giselle, it was very difficult, I'm sure, for Giselle and her people to speak to the locals and say, look, I can make sure that they have a better life. Let's get them off the island. So heartbreaking, devastating, but we were ready and willing to help. And we've gotten some wonderful Satos, which is slang for street dog in Puerto Rico. So,
S-A-T-O?
S-A-T-O, yeah. So
Satos.
all of our Puerto Rican dogs are Satos.
Yeah.
People ask, well, what breed are they? And I say, they're Satos. I mean,
like,
they're street dogs. We don't always know the mom and dad. Sometimes, like the litter that I'm going to be talking about today and showing you today, were found in the mountains, you know, without parents. So we don't know anything about mom and dad. And
so you can,
so we just make educated guesses, but we make no guarantees about breeds. And so the way it works is they'll send us pictures and videos, and we do, you know, they get them vetted fully. Sometimes spayed and neuter before they travel, it depends. And
Which do you recommend, I imagine?
I recommend, but sometimes they won't do a pediatric spay if they're a really young litter.
Oh, okay,
so we'll make sure that's done here.
You have to wait until a certain...
Yeah, generally. I mean, it varies depending on location and the vets and the rescue organization. But so we'll approve, okay, we can take this litter, or we can take this adult dog, or we can take, you know, sometimes we've taken as many as 9 at a time, and a mixture of dogs that need to travel. And then once they get to Massachusetts, either via transport, ground transport from North Carolina, or American Airlines Cargo, or another commercial airline, we'll bring them to quarantine. We have a quarantine partner in Woburn Great Dog Rescue who's amazing. And they also run their own very successful, excellent rescue. And they will quarantine our dogs for 48 hours under Massachusetts Department of Agriculture law.
So they just kind of, they hold
them for 48 hours to make sure that they're healthy. Then they get checked by a vet here, even though they already had been to a vet in their wherever their home was. In order to get their travel certificate, they have to be cleared as healthy. And then when they come here, we do one more check.
That makes sense.
And sometimes they get a cold or something like that during transport.
Well, it's
not
like kennel
uncommon.
cough.
Yeah, it could be kennel cough or something like that. So we make sure that then they're medicated and all the proper steps are taken to ensure that the dogs are as healthy as we can guarantee when they're adopted.
Yeah. No, that's great. And it's amazing that this started as kind of like, I want to cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of in like a sense of entrepreneurship.
That's just kind of, that's the spirit, I guess.
Well,
of
the ethical
how I
and
approach
moral
many
thing.
things. It's just, you know, I find it frustrating to have, no sort of, if you're that invested in an animal and you're, working with a dog, and then, it's kind of like, okay, who knows? And we got burnt a few times, and I think that was what it was. We got burnt on one particular adoption where...
I'm sorry to hear.
That's okay. The dog was sent to like an aversive training boot camp, and he was 10 times worse than when we had him. And it's a very long, convoluted story, but a horrible story. It did have a happy ending. We ended up getting this dog back by some odd cosmic occurrence, and we ended up finding a sanctuary for him because he had aggression issues with other dogs. So anyway, he's still alive and happy and not here.
Well, no, and you go ahead.
Yeah.
No, so great. So you go through a crazy journey to get these dogs here and to have them pretty much find a home. And you find your success with pairing up with individuals here in the Boston area. You find that pretty well, or?
So what we tend to do is we try to get them adopted even before they travel. So we'll put them on our website, and then we work with Adopt a Pet, which is a website that anyone can access, and people who are looking for a dog can get alerts like of the type of dog they're looking for. People just, I know a lot of our adopters spend hours and hours just going through these websites trying to find their dog, and then they can reach out to us and apply. And we do have an application process. It's a little more in depth than some other local shelters or rescues, but again, we want to make sure that we have a really good match, someone who's going to follow through with positive only training, and someone who's going to keep a clear line of communication open with us, even if they're not super local. We have adopters from Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont.
Nice.
We have a ton of local adopters too, because we do have clients who end up adopting from us,
Sure.
as,
It's
having
a good pool, yeah.
second dog, or if their dog passes and they're ready for another dog.
Unfortunately,
And word of mouth is obviously our biggest way. And then we do have our network of volunteers and fosters that help to try to get the word out. We have an amazing foster, Nan and Jimmy, and they have taken in, I don't know how many of our dogs at this point, but they'll take them in one at a time. They did take a pair of sisters once, and that was a lot of work, but they were adopted successfully. But they'll take them to like Linfield Marketplace with an Adopt Me bandana on, and they get them out and about, and we've had a lot of success.
Yeah.
They've actually helped us land adopters, which is
awesome.
so big. And a lot of people are afraid to foster because they're afraid they'll get attached to the dog and they want to keep them on.
See, yeah.
But I do want to say, my message is it helps to save lives. If you can get over the first and a few hard fosters, and you realize that, like, look, you can't keep them all, and I mean, maybe you can, I don't know, if you want to, but you can really help us save lives by volunteering to foster. And sometimes fostering is literally a day, and sometimes it's a month. It just depends. And if you have other pets, we would help find a dog that would be okay with other
suitable in that
pets.
environment.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a case by case. But for our adoption process, as I was saying, you apply, and then we require references. We require a home check, and our contract requires. Obviously, spay and neutering, they have to give us a deposit if they're not already spayed and neutered, which won't be returned until we have proof of that by 6 months.
Oh.
And then they also have to enroll in a positive training course.
You're mentioning, yeah.
And that means no aversive methods, like prong and shock, are used on the dogs. So we want to make sure that our positive training methods and philosophy also extend to cover our rescue dogs, making sure that they have the best experience and the most humane experience possible with their adopters in their new homes. So we offer a 6-week training course, one of our training courses included in the adoption fee, or if the person is not able to make that schedule, or they are, not super local, we could also just do a private session and go through all the things. And also I make myself available, as do my board and my team.
You have a great staff there at Barker.
Thank
Really
you.
a great group
Thanks.
of people, and
Thank
it's
you.
a nice space. Yeah, we've been there before. We've shown it on this channel.
Thank you. We've expanded since you've been there.
Oh,
so
really?
I'll have to come back.
Good. Yeah, no, I have to get some footage.
Yeah.
But so you've explained it pretty thoroughly about like the process itself. Like, let's just get more specific. Say I want to adopt a dog. Like, and I see it on where I could maybe see it.
So if you saw on my website, or
Yeah.
we're on social media, so
Yeah.
you see the dog on Facebook, you would reach out to us, and then we would direct you to rescueallthedogs.org, and then there's an adoption application you can fill out right online.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And if you have any questions in the process, you just shoot us an email or give us a call at Bark and Roll, and we'll answer all your questions.
No, that's great. So you can go right to you at Bark and Roll,
Yep.
or go right to rescueallthedogs.com.
.org. Yep.
.org, I apologize.
No
.org.
worries.
And then just fill out that application and then let it roll. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
we try to process them very quickly because we want these guys in
Yeah.
homes. Of course, if we don't feel like it's the right match, we're very choosy about it.
No, that's
But,
you have to, right?
You have to be. The last thing we want is dogs who are returned because the match doesn't work, and
Yeah.
especially if a dog is returned and they're now an adult or at an age that's not as desirable, it's harder to get them adopted.
Yeah.
And if they're trained with methods that might cause issues for them, behavioral issues and stuff, we also don't want a dog coming back that has any sort of PTSD or negative associations or any sort of,
Yeah, it's tough.
issues that were caused by improper training.
No, that's interesting. I know, and that's, you have to vet everything. I mean, I guess no
do.
pun intended, but you really have to make sure it's
and
a
we
good
do
fit.
take a leap of faith too. I mean,
As well as the adopter.
as they do as well.
Yeah.
But we try to, like I said, be as forthcoming about the process. And I spoke to a woman on the phone the other day that I think I drove off because she wasn't quite sure she wanted a puppy. And I was like, well, right now this is who you're applying for. And I told her about the commitment and what goes into it, and that she would have support, but she was definitely overwhelmed by that thought. But I'm glad that the education was given to her because she could have ended up with, in over her head, and then then the puppy.
Yeah, well,
suffers.
I mean, weigh the option of what matters most in that situation. So no, that's a great, thank you. That's a great explanation. And also, I guess before we bring out two of the stars of the show, I want to ask about if myself or someone wanted to foster puppies, which I understand, like the idea that people might not be apprehensible because like they fall in love with the dog and they don't want to give it up. But I mean, part of me says like, well, I mean, you get to fall in love with X amount of dogs.
Sure.
That's a beautiful life. That's
It
really,
is.
yeah.
It's extremely rewarding. And it can be, especially the first few, it can be really hard. I fostered myself with my dogs, and like, you know, I can make any dog pretty much fit in my household. Like I can make a way to make it happen, but you know, I have quite a few dogs now, all rescues, and we're realistic that, you know, not every dog is for us. So
Sure.
even fostering, for us, the first couple times was hard, but we realized, you know, this is how you save more lives, and we can take in more dogs if we have fosters available. So if you wanted to foster, we could go through the whole process and explain what it is, and then you'd have to fill out a foster application. Same sort of things apply. Like we would have to do reference checks. We would do a home check and, you know, make sure that you have the correct environment for a dog, or, you know.
All that stuff. Just pretty much go to Bark and Roll. Want to be a foster dog parent. Like, okay,
We'll send you a foster application,
Yeah.
and then you'll go from there. It's
Cool.
we make it as painless as possible, but yeah, it's a little involved. You know, we do it's sort of, you know.
I like to think people who are going to get involved understand that, you know, the stakes. So
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Oh, and we do have an adoption fee, of course.
Oh, okay.
It's $450 for puppies, $400 for adults. Sometimes if you take 2 puppies or something, we'll do a discount.
That's nice,
If the dog has to be spayed and neutered, it's a $50 deposit that we do refund once we get proof of spay and neuter, just to keep people to follow through with that process. And then all that money goes back into rescue. We are 100% volunteer. We send most of our funds back to our rescue partners so that they can ship more dogs, vet more dogs, ship more dogs, and then we can just continue the process with them.
Because it's expensive, I imagine.
We do, and we do have fundraisers on almost a monthly basis. We're very active.
Oh, yeah, I did see, on the
we're
email.
very active.
And people, if they just want to sign up for the emailer and just to help out in that vein.
Yeah, we have a private Facebook group.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, yeah, what's a Facebook group?
It's a BNR's Rock and Rescue of volunteers and fosters, and then we would just have to add you. It's a private group.
No, that's all right. And we can put that on the screen if you want,
Cool.
and anyone who wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, the best thing for them to do is just to email us at rescue@barkandroll.com.
Cool.
And we can answer all their questions and just sort of get them in the appropriate vein for information.
Sure, cool.
Yep.
Well, our guests are getting antsy, I imagine.
are.
So who do we have here?
So we have 2 16-week-old sisters from Puerto Rico.
I feel like the Carson show.
Jayuya, I believe is how you pronounce it. It is in the mountains.
Hello.
I think it's like 2 or 3 hours outside of. This is my lovely assistant Courtney, who doesn't want to be on camera.
That's all right. Hello, Courtney, and thank you for holding the pups.
So Giselle has rescued these guys. They were found wandering. There were 5 of them. We currently have 3 that aren't spoken for. One is in foster, so she's not here today. Her name is Lena, and she's all black and beautiful.
Oh, good. So someone is fostering her already.
Yeah, someone is fostering her. Our Nan and Jimmy's.
A
couple are doing it. And this is Eliza.
Hi, Eliza.
And this is her sister, Peggy.
Hey, Peggy.
And they are available for adoption at rescueonthedogs.org.
Aw.
And they are both extremely sweet.
Extremely adorable, extremely cuddly, and they're incredibly well behaved. They've been literally sitting in the corner
very large ears.
for like 15, 20 minutes.
Large ears.
Yeah. Hello. Do you like,
So-
I know, I'm sorry.
Peggy, when she gets a little amped up, is more like she's got some puppy nipping, so that's something we can help with, but it's very normal behavior.
Yeah, but,
And Eliza, I don't know, she's pretty much perfect.
sorry, I know the beard. Sorry, little guy. But it's kind of like a grizzly Adams-y.
Peggy wants to nibble your beard. Peggy always has a smirk on her face.
Yeah.
She's very sweet.
Aw.
We do have a couple applications on Peggy right now, but please
nice.
apply if you're interested.
Yeah.
He's
like
looking at me smirking right now.
Yeah.
We do have another
You
litter
little devil.
coming up in a few weeks, so
cool.
we're always getting dogs in. So if they go or they're not the right match for you, please don't be discouraged. If you apply and you're approved for a full year with us to apply for other dogs.
Oh, that's awesome. So
until you find-
you're in the rotation.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
And I have found hypoallergenic dogs and very specific dogs that are that people request. I have been able to actually contact our rescue partners saying, hey, these people are looking for a medium-sized senior dog, and what do you have? And see, is that dog appropriate to travel? And So yeah, and I should mention in the South there's a big problem with heartworm.
Oh, okay.
So some of the dogs end up, they're heartworm positive, and they get the treatment there, and then they'll come up here so that we can continue to treat heartworm. But that's not something that should deter people either.
No, it's fairly, from what I understand, being a pet owner, it's fairly easy to treat.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it obviously depends on the severity, and the dog wouldn't be sent to us if the dog was truly ill. But yeah, and people ask us questions all the time on what can we expect, and sometimes these guys have like worms or like skin, dermatitis and things, but you have to think of where they came from, and meaning they had it tough. And like I
they
said,
weren't pampered like I would pamper
no,
them.
not like our dogs. So that being said, I have been so inspired by these guys and how they can adapt and adjust, and just how joyful it is to have them in a home. And they're just wonderful. I love our Satos, and I love our Southern dogs. We also, just in case anyone's ever in need, we also do rehome local dogs.
So that's
in our own
awesome.
community. So we have rehomed several dogs in our own community that if an owner is ill or can't keep the dog anymore for whatever reason, we've
someone's
helped
moving,
with
they
that.
can't.
Yeah, I always try as a trainer and behavior consultant to try to help make the match work. What is it that you need? And try to do what we can to keep the dog in the home. But if truly that's not a possibility, then we do try to help rehome. We can't do all, but we do, the ones that we know we can help, we do what we can. And that's a case where like a foster would be greater if the owner can keep the dog until we can find another home. That's super helpful for us because we aren't a shelter. We don't have a facility where you just drop dogs and leave or come visit. We are appointment only, by the way, so don't just show up at Bark and Roll looking for one of our puppies. You'd want to reach out in advance. We do need an application process before we allow people to do meet and greets.
You can call and email,
at an event.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have your website as well. Yeah.
And we do take them to, out and about. We do some events and things with them. So you'll see the van around, the Bark and Roll van.
Yeah, very colorful. Can't miss it.
We generously lend to our rescue.
Yeah.
Whenever needed. I think Eliza's going to sleep.
That's right. Yeah, they seem pretty. I think the lights are lulling them.
Yeah.
So they're both blind and just mystified by it.
No.
Oh, but they are adorable and beautiful. I don't want to get up. I'll be honest.
Well, we'll just sit her all day.
Yeah, just have her. NORCAM will adopt.
So yeah,
Peggy.
if you guys are interested, by the time this comes out, maybe we'll still be sitting here at NORCAM. Beautiful Damon Tavern in North Reading.
I'll put on my cap, like Scrooge, and just sit to my nap. Thank you again. Is there anything else you'd like to relay about
Have I covered
Rock and
everything?
Rescue?
I think we've covered all the things.
No, it's great. And I also, just to add to the at-home, where helping people if they have to move or they can't maintain the drugs. I hear so many horror stories about people having to move from their house to an apartment or go to another apartment complex where they don't accept animals. And that's a really big thing. It's great that you have that as well.
Yeah. I will say that if you want to get involved in rescue and you're not able to adopt or for whatever reason, we do also accept sponsorships. So there have been people who've said, I want to sponsor this particular dog, so they help pay for their medical costs and things.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And potential transport and stuff like that. So we are always looking for people to sponsor dogs if they'd like to do that. And they could be on a rolling sponsorship if they want to do like a monthly donation
monthly, yearly or something.
Yep, and that helps keep us going.
Well, just like anything else, just like the Boston Food Pantry, like they always say, like, or the town food pantry or the Boston Food Bank, giving money is just as good as giving your time and effort because
it is, and we do look for volunteers, to help us at events and transports and things like that. Sometimes just bathing the puppies and getting them ready to go to an event or for an adoption.
Yeah. Well, you guys are adorable and lovely. I don't know. I feel like playing a puppy guitar.
Gracias.
Sato. Hello. I know you're like a marionette. I love it. All right. Sorry. I'd be here all day. But thank you, Francine. Thank you, Courtney. And thank you. This is Peggy, and that is
Eliza.
Eliza.
With an E.
From Hamilton.
From Hamilton, I guess they were named after the Hamilton musical because they brought it down to Puerto Rico, and everyone was very excited that they came down to do the performances. And Giselle named this litter after characters in Hamilton.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, please visit them at rescueallthedogs.org for Rock and Rescue, and feel free to contact Francine and her staff at Bark and Roll for all your pet needs and just to get involved. It's very important, and give these pups a home. I know, little guy. Oh, I can't. I'm just falling in love. This is dangerous. My wife will murder me. All right, take it easy and yeah, give to pups.